Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I've just spent about the last 4 hours going over, reading, and evaluating your forum posts for last week. And of course, as soon as I filed the grades, I got a whole boatload of emails asking why you didn't get the full component of forum points for the week. So I'm going to give you this video that I hope will explain the situation one more time. I've explained this fairly substantially in other places. And this is always the case. People seem to not understand how the forums work or how to participate, or at least they pretend that they don't. I don't know what the case is with you, but I want to take one more stab at explaining it, and then we need to move on. So let me give you some background. As I posted elsewhere, College of the Desert got into some trouble a while back with their online classes because they were not, the accreditation committee judged them to be not very rigorous. Frankly, some of my colleagues and frankly a lot of our students were popping in for an hour on Sunday afternoon and doing a little bit of work and getting full credit for some of these courses. And the committee came in and took a look at this and said, no, that's not right. Your online courses carry college credit. They have to be as rigorous as your face-to-face courses. And the threat was sort of veiled out there that if we didn't clean our act up, we might lose our ability to teach online at all. So the administration and some of my colleagues and some other concerned people in the community got together and worked out a plan to try to address this concern by the committee that has control over this, statewide committee, by the way. And so the committee came up with some guidelines which we're trying to implement. And there are some rules that should have been applied all along, but frankly haven't been in some cases. And so we're all suffering with now getting up to speed on where we should have been years ago, really. So the deal is that online classes must be rigorous and that there must be substantial interaction between the professor and the students and the professor, and the students with each other. What that means is popping in on Sunday night for half an hour is no longer going to cut it. You must respond to forums and online discussions early in the week and later in the week. And your responses and my responses must be fairly substantial. If you think about it this way, think about walking into a classroom face-to-face. The professor's there, your colleagues are there. What would you expect? You'd expect conversation. You'd expect questions to be asked. You'd expect to answer questions. And you'd expect to talk to each other and discuss in discussion groups. That's what you'd expect in a classroom. So the forum is exactly the same thing. It works exactly the same way, except you're not face-to-face, so you don't talk to each other. You have to type out and post your responses, and other people have to type back to you, and I have to type back to you. It's clunky, but it must be equivalent to a classroom discussion, as equivalent as we can make it. Now, what strikes me as odd, and I don't know if this applies to any of you, but what strikes me as strange in this situation often is that the people who seem to complain that they don't understand how to work the forums are the same people who are on Facebook most of their waking hours. And it's exactly the same thing. On Facebook, if I want to respond to something someone has put up there, I hit reply, I think it is, or respond, or comment, that's what it is. I hit comment, okay? On the forum, if you want to respond to someone, something someone has put up, you hit reply. If I want to put an original post up on Facebook, I type in the box up at the top, what's on your mind, and hit post. If you want to put an original response in the forum, you hit create a thread. It's exactly like Facebook. If you can do Facebook, you can do this. So, I've got some very sophisticated visual aids here in hopes that it will sort of clarify the people that are asking why you didn't get full credit for the week. So here's the deal. To get full credit for the week, oops, I've lost my camera. There I am. Your responses must be full, substantial, and timely. If you did not get full credit for any given week, it's because your responses were either not full, not substantial, or not timely. Again, this is not my rule. This is the rule of the state of California that has control over online education. Here's your definition of full. Your original response, I can't read this. In every forum that says response required, you must make an original response by hitting create a thread and answering the question. You also must respond to at least 2 of your colleagues in that thread. And you respond to your colleagues by hitting reply to their thread. So a full participation in any given forum is 1 original response from you by hitting create thread, and at least 2 responses to 2 of your colleagues by hitting reply. So if you responded only to 1 of your colleagues this week, that was not a full response. You did not get full credit. Okay? Number 2, definition of substantial. Both your original post and the response posts to your colleagues must be at least 2 sentences, and yes, I can count to 2. And they must be relevant to the topic under discussion. You add value to the conversation by adding experience, knowledge, wisdom. You add something to the conversation. Now, I don't have any problem if you're talking about, say, topic sentences or point of view, and you want to talk about what you learned in high school. That's terrific. That's adding value. But if you're talking about point of view or topic sentences and you want to talk about your trip to Kmart yesterday, don't do that. It's not relevant and you won't get full credit. So substantial is 2 sentences at least, relevant to the topic, something about the topic under discussion. Okay? And finally, timely. Your original post must be received by Thursday night at 11:55 p.m. and your responses to at least 2 of your colleagues must be received by the time the forum shuts down at 11:55 p.m. on the following Monday. If your original response did not come in by Thursday night, it was not timely. You did not get full credit. If you didn't respond to 2 of your colleagues by Monday night, it was not timely. You didn't get full credit. If your responses were less than 2 sentences long or irrelevant to the topic under discussion, that was not substantial. You didn't get full credit. If your responses were not full, if you did not respond to the original thread, or if you did not respond to at least 2 of your colleagues, that was not a full response. You didn't get full credit. So I don't mean to be short with you, ladies and gentlemen, but I've explained this several times in other places. And if you can do Facebook, you can do this. It's as simple as Facebook. There's nothing complicated about it. It's the online equivalent of a classroom discussion. And if you walked into a classroom, you wouldn't need to be told what to do. You'd know what to do. So when you go into the forum, you're walking into an online classroom you're expected to discuss. So I hope that helps. And again, typically, this happens the first couple of weeks, first 2 or 3 weeks. I explain things very carefully, and then some folks decide not to meet the minimum requirements, and they don't get full credit, and then they want to know why they didn't get full credit. Well, you didn't get full credit because you didn't meet the minimum requirements. unless I made a mistake, and I do that fairly often. So if you feel like you've met everything that I've just explained here, if you feel like your responses met those criteria, then let me know and I'll fix it. Then it was my mistake. But frankly, I don't recall ever having had that happen. Okay? So your responses must be full, substantial, and timely. And I've just explained those for about the third time to you. You can like this new requirement or not. It's a lot of work for me, quite frankly. There's 120 of you guys, and it's a lot of work. But I do appreciate the fact that you can't, if your online class is not equivalent to your face-to-face class, then how can you grant the same credit? How can a student who shows up to class 3 hours a week, sits in the classroom, listens to the lectures, takes notes, participates in discussion, does homework, brings homework into class, how can that student who puts all that time and effort into that class, and then the online student who shows up for half an hour on Sunday and does a little bit of forum writing, those are not equivalent. And yet the state of California has been, in some cases, granting equivalent credit for the large amount of work that the face-to-face student does and the very little amount of work that the online student does. And frankly, colleges are getting into trouble all over the state, and faculty and students are having to shuffle to try to meet these new requirements. So I hope that helps. I hope it helps you understand the forums, why we have them, and what you need to do your part. Again, I hate to say it again, it's exactly like Facebook. It's just exactly like participating in a discussion on Facebook, except that this topic is chosen for you and the parameters of full participation are set for you. You now know what the rules are. Okay. Other than that, I'm very much enjoying this class. As I said, I've been sitting out back looking at forums for 4 hours, and my eyeballs are going crazy, so I'm going to have to knock off pretty soon. Okay. Play this video as many times as you need. If you don't understand, play it as many times as you need to. I don't know how else to explain it. This is as clear as I can possibly be. Look in the syllabus, it's explained there. I believe I also explained it the first day in the lecture. So it's been explained in 3 places. Please, if you don't understand, make an effort to understand, because I have done all I can. Okie dokie. So I hope you're having a great week, and I'll have another couple little videos coming out a little bit later on that will clarify some stuff for you. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.